The August jobs report, which came out early on Friday, is even worse than pretty much everyone expected it to be. And I was expecting it to be pretty bad. I talked about this on Thursday and how the projections were bad. But no, it's worse. Just 22,000 jobs were added in August. 22,000. In fact, for the first time in nearly 4 years, the economy overall had lost jobs about 13,000. In June, by the way, manufacturing jobs had fallen for the fourth month in a row for a total of 78,000 lost so far this year. Black unemployment climbed to 7.5%, the highest level in almost 4 years. And there are many other problems here with the jobs numbers, okay? With the Trump economy overall, it is a disaster, an absolute disaster. Now, that's not going to be the focus. You're probably already aware of how bad the jobs reports are. But what I want to talk about is how Fox News has reacted to it. Take a look.
Payne, and really quick, I just want to say here, private payrolls coming in. The expectation was 75,000. We got 38,000, and there was a loss of 16,000 jobs in government, which I think Lauren mentioned. But again, you know, that 22,000 number, Charles, it's a weaker than expected number, and these revisions are pretty brutal.
Yeah, extraordinarily. You know, gone through. I mentioned healthcare, 31,000. The 12-month average was 42,000. That had been obviously a massive driver, and we know the demographic situation there. Just a little disappointed. Manufacturing was hoping to maybe see something there. It's not so bad that we're thinking recession, but it's bad enough that we think maybe the Fed could be much more accommodative beyond September.
Yeah, and also, too, Jody Biley, labor force participation rate, 62.3%. Your reaction?
Yeah, so we're not seeing much movement in that number, which is disappointing and surprising, to be honest with you, Cheryl, because we're seeing that there is starting to be some increase in the weekly jobless claims. And so I like to look into that number and say, are we seeing more people say they want to participate in the workforce? I also think this report is a little bit more of the same. The jobs are in healthcare, they're in leisure and hospitality. We've lost jobs again in the professional business service sector. We've lost jobs in this report in the temporary help sector, which is not a good sign. So there's a lot of concern. Even though the private payroll number is 38,000, that is still a pretty weak number.
That is still a pretty weak number. Oof. Ouch. And again, brutal. Okay. The economy is stagnating. Okay. So much for Donald Trump being the jobs president. If it continues to go this way, I think the only jobs that are going to be left are working in the fields because they've kicked out all the immigrants. And maybe that is the plan. Maybe that's the plan. Trump jobs plan is going to be, going out and picking fruits and vegetables for very little pay. I don't know. It's not like they haven't floated that for people on Medicaid. Okay. Now, here's what's funny about this, right? I was concerned, and I think a lot of people were, that Trump's new Bureau of Labor Statistics guy was going to go and fudge the numbers, right? Apparently that didn't happen this time. Not this time. Probably in the future, yes. I'm sure that somebody is having a talk with Mr. Antoni right now about this one. Because again, that jobs report is brutal. But here comes Kevin Hassett, the director of the National Economic Council for Trump. He went on America's Newsroom to attempt to do some damage control.
It's not the number you wanted. It was not the number that was expected. How come? Right. Well, one of the things we know is that they've been really at BLS struggling with bad response rates. And Goldman Sachs put out a study yesterday that said that they've been messing up the August seasonal so much that over the last 10 to 15 years, they've tended to have to revise up the number by around almost 70,000 jobs when they get the new final surveys.
So it's their fault?
And so, well, I'm saying that this number, we expect this number will be revised up. That's been the pattern over and over. And if that happens, then it'll be consistent with all the other indicators we're seeing. Industrial production is at an all-time high. Capital spending is up 8% over the first half of the year after it being mostly flat under Joe Biden. And also within the jobs report we got today, there are a lot of really interesting and positive patterns. Thing one is that all the job creation is private sector job creation. Government workers are actually, their employment declined by 100,000. All of the job creation is native-born workers, whereas about half of the job creation under Biden was foreign-born workers. And so there are a lot of real positive things to see. And the final thing is that the wage numbers are fantastic. The wage growth is almost at 4%, which means that the typical wage earner in America right now has gotten a $500 raise already because of Donald Trump's policy.
Okay, so the revisions for June and July collectively were lower.
We're lower,
and you're
right.
saying the revisions for next month will come back. We'll see whether or not that's the case.
Yeah, and there's another big revision next week. But the point is that these numbers, the reason why they're getting revised so much is that these numbers are based on surveys, and people are kind of not filling out the surveys until the last minute, and so that the share of surveys that have actually been filled out at the beginning of the month is way lower than it used to be.
Not even Bill Hemmer is buying that spin. Okay. Wait a minute. You're talking about the revisions, right? But the last couple of months, the revisions have been lower. What are you talking about? No, you don't understand. You got to wait for the revisions. You got to wait for the revisions. The revisions didn't help you, and they ain't going to help you this time, too. Look, employment has stalled out, okay? That's a result of Donald Trump's policies. That's a result of AI. It's a result of the tariffs. It's a result of all of this look, people don't know what's going to happen. People do not know what's going to happen. And so, as a result, people are not spending money. And so there's a lot of different reasons why the economy is stalling out the way that it is. And a lot of it has to do with Trump's stewardship of the economy. Now, I also love, by the way, I'm going to talk about Hassett saying, oh, you don't understand. People are making more money now. Look at the wage growth. Look at the wage growth. It's at 4%. Look at that, 4%. Inflation, 2.7%. Now, technically, sure, you could say, what? Well, okay, so we are making technically a little bit more money. But wait a minute. Inflation, and also I will include the Biden years under this because there was a lot of inflation, okay? And a lot of that, by the way, is a result of greedflation, corporations raising, their costs, even though the things weren't actually costing them more, okay? They were just being greedy, okay? They were raising the prices of things, even though their costs had gone up for a little bit, but then gone right back down. And they took that money, that extra money now, and just put it in their pockets. Okay, that's what they did. So a lot of that greedflation, by the way, prices still haven't gone back down to where they were back in 2019, for example. Inflation isn't just the level of, how fast prices are rising, okay? That right there is inflation, but the result of that, when inflation goes down, that doesn't mean that the costs of items have gone back down. It just means the rate that costs are rising has gone down. And so at 2.7%, things are still, year by year, still getting 2.7% more expensive. And that adds up. While wages, again, have not exactly kept up with that, all right, with the costs of new things. And so, they don't talk about that. Not a lot of people do. Not a lot of people do. So I'm not exactly impressed by the 4% wage growth, especially when, I mean, whenever I see that, oh, wages have gone, people are getting wealthier in this country. Does that factor in how much rich people have made? Because, you know, we might be making a tiny bit more as working people, but rich people have run away with the majority of the gains, and they have been doing so for a very long time. Okay. Now, that said, another factor here that is making it so that Americans aren't exactly going to feel that much richer. He's talked about $500, right? No, an extra $500. You know how much the tariffs are eating into it? An estimated $2,400 a year. That's how much we are losing as a result of Donald Trump's trade wars. Again, that is a tax on the American people. That is not a tax on China, okay? Corporations, importers specifically, pay that tax, the tariff, and then pass the costs on to the consumer. So we're paying more for that. Now, look, not only are we, paying an estimated $2,400 a year as a result of Trump's tariffs, his taxes, but it's also costing more to do normal things. Like, for example, an extra $400 to finance a car. You have home prices that have risen. You will have health insurance costs that are about to rise at least 18% more come 2026, because you have all these health insurance companies that are getting ready to hike the price because the government is pulling back on the subsidies and tax breaks. And so everything is in the process of getting even more expensive. Look, I'm no mathematician here, but I would say that this does not look good. This does not look like good numbers. These are terrible numbers. And no amount of spin from Trump or his little lackeys, his little toadies, like Kevin Hassett, is going to hide the reality that the American people, the average working class person now in this country, is worse off financially than we were before. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you can become a member on our YouTube page, you can become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.